Okay, so I'm doing this online course that I've told you about with Red School, and I wanted to just do a video about my journey, about my period and things like that, and just talk to you about, like all my beliefs and things like that. I've just been going through some of the course materials, and for me, I find talking about things can sometimes be more healing and easier than writing about them and journaling about them, and quicker as well. And I often find that by speaking it out loud, it really kind of hits home then, and I can realise things a lot quicker than just writing it down. So that's just something for me that's personal to me. So I thought I'd do a video and actually share my journey with you guys, or girls, goddesses, you goddesses. So I'm just going to think way back. The first memory that I have about anything to do with periods is actually when I was watching TV with my mum. First of all, my battery ran out, and then my memory card was full, so maybe it's not the right time to be saying all this, but I'm going to try again anyway, and then I'm going to go and cook my dinner. So I'm keeping my voice down a little bit because I'm not the only one in the house, and obviously this is quite like a personal journey. So the first memory I have of anything to do with periods and things like that is when I was about 7, and I was watching TV with my mum and my brother, and a advert for sanitary towels came on the telly, and I remember my brother saying something, because he'd obviously was about 9 at the time. Like, I was 7 or 8 and he was 9 or 10, and I think he'd started sex education at school, so he knew what the sanitary towels were, and he was saying something to my mum, and my mum said, "Oh no, I don't think she knows yet." And then like they were kind of talking about me like I wasn't there, and I was like, "What are you saying?" And my brother said, "Do you know what they are?" And I said, "I think so. Are they like nappies for women?" And they were like, "Sort of." And that's my very first memory of anything to do with it. Then obviously we have sex education in schools, and that was my next memory, is getting like a little pack at school, learning about sex education and learning about our periods and everything. And I received a little paper bag that had some tampons in it, and then it had like a tampon holder, like this blue tampon holder, and they were saying, you need to be discreet about it. These are so that other people don't see the tampons, so you can hide it, basically. And I remember getting these sanitary towel pads, which were just really thick and horrible, and I was like, ugh, what, you have to wear those in your knickers and stuff like that. And I don't remember any of my friends being on their period yet or anything, or no one had spoken about it, but I just remember having this little pack, and I kept it in my drawer under my bed, and for years. And then basically I became friends with a girl who had got her period at about the age of 10, and I hadn't yet. And then I was a really, really late developer, and I remember being jealous that she had her period and she was getting breasts and stuff like that, and I was still a girl, basically. I was really a late bloomer, and I didn't actually get my first period until I was well into the age of 15, and many of my friends started their period at the age of 12 or 13, some of them before that, and some of them 14. And I remember all my friends had kissed boys and done things with boys at like sort of the age 13, and I hadn't, and I was really like quite insecure about my body because I didn't have any curves at all, And I remember wishing that I had my period. I really remember wishing that I was like everybody else and I wanted to have my period, and everyone was like, no you don't, it's gross, and that I remember feeling like, no, I really do want it. I sort of remember getting my period, and I was sort of into my 15 years of age, and I finally got my period. And I remember, I vaguely remember going to the supermarket and getting some Always Ultra sanitary towels, and there was no way I was going to use a tampon. I was really like anti-tampon. No way I was going to stick something in me. So yeah, I remember having sanitary towels, and my first period lasted 2 weeks. So I already experienced quite an imbalance. It lasted 2 weeks. Then I didn't get a period for about 2 or 3 months. And then leading up to my second period, I experienced PMS really badly. I felt really crazy. And I remember a boy in my school, we'd fallen out. He was one of my close friends, and we'd had a fallout, and I was yelling at him in the corridor, and I felt utterly insane, and I ended up crying on the steps, and he was like, what is wrong with you? And I told him, I think it's because I'm about to get my second period, and I think I've got PMS, or PMT is what we called it then, premenstrual tension. And yeah, I got my period, and it lasted about a week, and then after that it went away, but then like a few days later I got another one, and I remember feeling really, really crazy and really upset because it was really unpredictable, and yeah, I was really upset that I didn't have like a regular period, and I was confused. I was like, why is this happening to me? And I told my mum, and she said, okay, let's go to the doctor and see what they say. So I went to the doctor, and he prescribed me the oral contraceptive pill, and I was only 15 at the time, and yeah, so I was given microgylon, and I remember taking this pill, and I actually felt suicidal. I felt even more out of control. I started getting loads of spots on my face. My skin went really greasy, and this pill was just evil. I really didn't like it. But one thing that did start happening was that my breasts started to grow, and for years and years and years I had been flat-chested, like double A cup. Suddenly I was on this pill, and within about 2 weeks my boobs went from being an A cup to like a C, probably even a D cup, but I was wearing C cup bras at the time, so I was like a 30C, and I loved the fact that I had breasts. I was like, wow, I'm a woman. And I started getting hips and a butt, and I was just loving that whole like looking sexy and feeling sexy. And suddenly, after being on the pill for a while, my whole sexual energy just kicked in, and I was just like, I was wanting to explore and experiment, and I just wanted to, yeah, like explore men, and also I was attracted to women as well. And so after being on this pill, I was crazy insane, but I liked my figure, and I was kind of scared to change the pill because I didn't want my breasts to shrink or anything like that. So I went back to the doctor because I was utterly insane on this pill, and he prescribed me a pill called something like diet. It's like a I can't remember, something to do with diet, and it's meant to clear up your skin, and it did clear up my skin, but I started losing a lot of weight, and I think actually it's like a certain oral contraceptive pill that helps with weight loss, and it cleared up my skin and I felt better on it, but I started to lose weight, and I've always been really slim, and so that wasn't a good thing, and I wasn't 100% happy with it. I didn't feel right on that. It felt quite harsh as well. It felt like quite a harsh on my system, and it felt really artificial. And so I went back to the doctor, and by this point I think I was about 16, and they put me on a pill called Femidine. And originally they were going to prescribe me Jasmine, I can't remember, but they put me on Femidine. And this pill was a lot more gentle, and I really got on better with it. I wasn't feeling insane, I felt a lot calmer, and my boobs were still big. My skin was clearer. I wouldn't say clear, but clearer. And I didn't feel like it was so harsh on my system. And I stayed on this pill until I was about 27. I remember when I was about 16 or 17, no, 16, I was definitely 16, and sort of late 16, I decided I wanted to use tampons because I wanted to go swimming, and I was like, I need to learn how to use these things. And so I remember teaching myself how to use them. I didn't like using the ones that didn't have the applicator. I liked to use the ones with the applicator, and I used Tampax or Lillettes. Actually, I remember Tampax would trigger thrush and things like that, and I went through some terrible thrush when I was a teenager. After I got my period from the age of 15 until I was about 18, I suffered really badly with thrush, which is candida, an overgrowth of a certain bacteria. And I remember certain things would trigger it. Tight clothing, wearing tights, thongs, wearing a thong, various fabrics, and Tampax would trigger it. So I remember I always used to use Lillettes. Maybe it was a psychological thing, because there probably maybe wasn't much difference, but the applicator didn't hurt as much as Tampax applicator at the time. And I remember one time I found a way of putting tampons in that didn't feel uncomfortable, where we were taught to stand up and like put your foot like on the toilet, or lift your leg up and put it in like that. But I found it a lot easier to sit on the toilet and kind of just sit on the toilet and kind of push my bum out towards the back of the toilet and then push it in like from the front. And I remember telling my friend, one of my best friends, about doing it that way, and she was like, oh my god, that way's so much easier. And I remember we tried that way. And I remember sort of discussing periods with my friends in my sort of teen years, like 16, 17, and we all hated them. And it was always like a negative talk about it. It was like, oh god, you're on your period, oh yeah. And we didn't really like it. So I always remember finding that way of putting tampons in and sharing it with my friends, and my friend being really grateful about it, because it's like an easier way of doing it. But I do have vague memories of being in the school toilets and having to take tampons out because they hurt, and putting a sanitary towel in instead. And I remember the smell, the smell of, obviously it's not a nice smell when you wear a sanitary towel for too long or something. And I remember like boys at school used to make comments about girls wearing sanitary towels and having fishy fannies and things like that, and it was quite embarrassing if you were on your period, and I'd feel really self-conscious that I'd smell. And I remember wearing loads of body spray. I used to wear this body spray called Charlie Gold and Charlie Red and Impulse. I remember I used to spray myself so much because I was so self-conscious that people would smell the blood and smell my, that I was on my period. And I used to change my sanitary towels all the time, just in case. And I remember it got to a point where I was like, oh, I'm just going to use tampons because I felt too self-conscious. B, I felt like it would enable me to be able to go swimming and do a lot more and conceal it better. I remember that as part of my journey as well. A lot of the time I just took the pill back to back for 3 months and then let myself have a period. and sometimes longer than that. And in this time, I still experienced a certain cycle, and it would take me a few days once I'd stopped to have my break for my period. It would take me 3 to 4 days to actually get the period, and I would experience PMS type symptoms in those 3 to 4 days before getting my period. And then I'd have my period and it would be really short, and it would be quite clotted. I remember it always being very clotted, not particularly that heavy, but just not a very nice experience, and I would often get quite severe pain. And I remember that's something I had as well. Before going on the pill, I had period pain as well. And yeah, so then I was on that pill for a really long time, and I had one break for 3 months, and I didn't like coming off of it because I started getting really bad acne again, cystic acne, and really bad PMS and really bad period pain. And so I went back on the pill. I was like, I'm not coming off that again. And actually it was really quite numbing, I think, and I quite enjoyed the fact that I could control my cycle. I could have a period if I wanted to, and if not, it didn't matter. And actually at that point, I remember in like medical news in the media, the doctors were now saying it's okay to just continuously take the pill and not have a period. It makes no difference. So that's what I was doing. And then I became a stripper. And when I was a stripper, it's like periods really didn't go with that job. But at this point I had decided I wanted to have a monthly cycle again. And so that's what I was doing. But actually, the truth be told, I did take it back to back quite a lot, even though I was aiming to have a monthly cycle. I remember every time it came to that point, I was like, do I really want to go through that? No, let's not. And so I didn't. And it was only really when I was about 24 that I was like, right, I feel like I need to have a definite cycle now, but I don't want to come off the pill yet. I remember like when I first started dancing, like, what do you do when you have your period? And you basically just have to either cut the string of the tampon or you coil it up and put it inside. And that's what you do when, as a stripper. You know, you can't be seen to be on your period, and if you've got any PMS, you have to hide it. If you've got any pain, you have to take painkillers. And I remember taking a painkiller called Pontstan, I think it is. It's quite a strong period pain reliever. Yeah, so I was doing that for a while, and I was having a monthly cycle. And then when I turned 25, or was it 20... No, when I turned 26, I was like, right, I want to come off the pill now. And I came off the pill, and all hell broke loose over the next few years. I went back on it for a while, and then when I was 27, I was like, no, I am definitely coming off this, because I've got some serious imbalances going on here. And at this point, I'd started college, and I was learning about the cycle and eating right and your diet and detox and all sorts of stuff. And I was learning about the oral contraceptive pill and the dangers and things like that. And I was like, I need to come off this. And I'd known that for a good few years. So I did. I came off it. And then, yeah, all hell broke loose. I started getting really bad cystic acne. And actually, even when I was on the pill, I still had cystic acne. I would get spots, and I'd call them Quasimodos because they were so ugly, and they'd be these huge cysts on my face, but it wouldn't be very often, and I could handle it. It was like, yeah, it wasn't that often, and I didn't relate it to my hormones or anything that I was eating. I just thought it's because I was taking drugs all the time, and maybe it was. But yeah, anyway, so when I was 27, I 100% came off the pill. I had extreme cystic acne, I got endometriosis symptoms, I started getting ovary pain, I had clotted, awful, heavy periods that were just draining me, extreme PMS, I think there's another word for it, PDD, and it was awful, really. and for the past few years I've been healing that, and I've got to the point now where I'm way more in tune with my cycle, and I don't get cystic acne anymore. I don't have endometriosis symptoms. I do get slight pain or discomfort, but it's not that bad, and it's just showing me that I'm about to come on my period. And actually sometimes it's if I'm doing too much, I'll experience it a lot more, and I feel like, okay, I need to rest more and go inwards, and now I'm a lot more in tune. So for me, that's been my journey. There's probably bits that I've missed out, and things that I haven't said, which I might recall in other videos if I feel it's important or something that other people can get something out of. But feel free to leave any comments below about your journey and like your period journey, your cycle journey, and any of the beliefs you picked up. A lot of my beliefs were shame and embarrassment and pain and inconvenience and illness and chemicals and things, whereas now I'm on the path of health and you know, learning about my cycle and honouring what I am and learning how to utilise it in my life and balance my life around this magical thing that we go through as a woman, as women. So yeah, if you want to comment or do your own video about this, then do so, and if you want to connect with me, then you can do on my website or on Facebook. And yeah, I hope this journey was a little bit interesting, and I'm sorry if it was a bit boring. I just felt like I wanted to document it on video, and just as a way to help myself really and say it all out loud. Yeah, anyway, I hope you have a healthy day, and remember to keep it juicy. Bye.